It was a quiet afternoon at a small-town diner when something strange happened. A group of tough-looking bikers walked in, leather vests, tattoos, the kind of guys you might cross the street to avoid. But what caught everyone's attention wasn't their loud boots or the sound of engines rumbling outside. It was a little girl, barely 8 years old, dropping to her knees in front of the biggest biker of them all, and begging him to arrest her. The diner fell silent. Forks froze midair. Even the jukebox seemed to stop. Everyone stared, wondering, why would a child ask to be arrested? And what these bikers did next would leave the whole town speechless. Before we dive into this heartwarming story, take a second to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. You're watching Kindness in Action, where we share real stories that remind us how powerful compassion can be, even in the most unexpected place. The story takes place in a small diner just off a rural highway in Kansas. The kind of place with red leather booths, the smell of coffee in the air, and an old jukebox playing country songs from the 80s. That afternoon, a motorcycle club known as the Iron Souls rolled into town. They weren't a gang, just a group of veterans and blue-collar workers who rode together for charity events. They looked intimidating, sure, tall, muscular men with weathered faces, leather jackets covered in patches, and deep voices that echoed when they laughed. But behind those rough exteriors were men who had seen the world, fought in wars, and carried more heart than most would ever guess. Inside the diner, a young waitress named Jenny was serving coffee when the bikers came in. She smiled nervously, trying to keep her composure. A few locals sitting by the counter whispered quietly, eyeing the group with suspicion. It wasn't every day that 12 big bikers rolled into their quiet little town. But before anyone could say much, the door swung open again. In ran a little girl, maybe 8 years old, long brown hair, dirt on her knees, and tears streaking down her cheeks. She looked terrified. She ran straight up to the biggest biker, a tall man with gray in his beard named Hank, and fell to her knees. "Please," she cried. "Please arrest me. I did something bad." The diner went dead silent. Hank blinked, stunned. "Sweetheart," he said softly, kneeling down to her level, "what did you do?" She sniffled and pulled something out of her pocket, a crumpled $5 bill. "I took this," she said. "It's my mama's grocery money. I just wanted to buy a cupcake for her birthday. But, now I don't have enough to replace it. Please, just take me to jail." Her tiny voice cracked with guilt, and Hank's tough heart just melted right there on the diner floor. He looked up at the waitress, who was now holding back tears herself. The whole room had gone still, everyone waiting to see what this tattooed biker would do next. Hank took the little bill gently from her hand, looked at it, and then said in a soft voice, "Well, sweetheart, if you stole this, then we've got ourselves a serious situation. But you know what? We might be able to fix this." The girl looked up, eyes wide with fear and hope. "Really? Really?" he said with a grin. "But first, you're coming with me." The waitress gasped. A few people stood up, but Hank simply reached out his hand. "We're going to do this the biker way," he said. Hank walked her over to the counter, where his fellow bikers watched in silence. "Boys," he said, "this young lady's confessed to a crime. What do you think the punishment should be?" One of the bikers, a big guy named Tom, crossed his arms and said, "Well, sounds like she needs to make it right. How about community service?" The little girl frowned. "What's that?" Tom smiled. "It means helping others. Doing something kind to make up for what happened." Hank nodded. "That sounds fair to me." He turned to the little girl. "How about this, sweetheart, instead of going to jail, you help us do something good for your mom. We'll call it even." Her eyes lit up. "You mean it?" "Absolutely," Hank said. "Now tell me, what's your mama's favorite cupcake flavor?" Within 10 minutes, the entire diner was buzzing with life again. The bikers ordered a dozen cupcakes, some flowers, and a big chocolate milkshake, all paid for by Hank and his crew. The waitress boxed everything up, tears glistening in her eyes as she handed the little girl the bag. When they stepped outside, the bikers revved their engines. Hank lifted the little girl up and sat her carefully on his bike. "You ready to deliver this surprise?" he asked. She nodded with a huge smile. "Yes, sir." And off they went, riding down the small town road, a little girl in front, surrounded by a dozen bikers like an honor guard. People came out of shops and homes to watch, waving as they passed. The sight was something no one would ever forget, the innocence of a child leading a pack of roaring motorcycles, all united for a simple act of kindness. They stopped in front of a small house on the edge of town. The little girl jumped off the bike and ran up the steps, calling out, "Mama! Mama!" A tired-looking woman opened the door, worry on her face. When she saw the bikers, her eyes went wide. But before she could speak, her daughter ran into her arms, holding up